In part 2 in this video, we have just covered the units of production method, and now we're focusing on part 2 of lesson 16.4, which talks about the partial year depreciation, straight line, double declining, and then we'll do a sum of the year digits. So let's go ahead and get started here. So for this first example, we have an item that's $6,750. It has a salvage value of $750, and the time of life is 4. And now we need to find what is the depreciation per year, which we did in a previous lesson. So for this item, it's a mountain bike. So let's find what it's going to depreciate. Go parentheses, cost minus salvage divided by amount of years. It's going to depreciate $1,200. Now, the question is asking, though, what is the depreciation for the first year? Well, this bike was not purchased in January. It was purchased later in the year. It was purchased in October. So that means we have October, November, and December left to calculate just that part of depreciation. So we know that the depreciation for the entire year is $1,200, but we need to know what is that just for the last 3 months of the year. So all we have to do is go equals 3 months. Again, there's 3 months remaining in the year, October, November, December. There's our rate, and now we're ready to calculate what is going to be that depreciation. So we're going to take the 0.25 times the 1,200, and it's going to be $300. So the question is asking, what is the amount of depreciation at the end of the first year if it was purchased in October? All right, let's focus on example 4, which is a partial year depreciation, but we're using the double declining balance. For this one, they're using a boat dock that was installed in April 12th, and we need to find out what is the depreciation after year 1 and after year 2. So let's look at the cost for this one. It's $72,000. It has no salvage value. The years is 10. And now we need to find out what it's going to depreciate in the first year. So we're going to go equals. We're going to go parentheses cost minus salvage value divided or times 2. And again, the reason we do times 2 is because it's double declining, divided by years. So we got to put 2 in there, divided by years. So $14,400. Now, what we're going to do with that is this was purchased in April. So that means we have 9 months left that we have to work with. So what we need to do is divide this out like we did in the previous one in a fraction. So we're going to go equals 9 divided by 12. We get 0.75. And again, this was installed in April. So we're taking April to the end of the year, which would give us 9 months. So the first year depreciation of the partial year would be $10,800. All right, so what we're going to do with that next is we're going to take $72,000, the salvage value, and the years to find the depreciation for that. So what we'll do is we can use $7,200. Actually, what the amount we're going to use for this one is we're going to go cost minus first year partial year depreciation. Now we can use the $61,200. All right, no salvage value, same amount of time, and depreciation for first year. So equals cost minus salvage times 2 divided by time, $12,240. So what did I just do just now? Where did I get the $61,200? Now, we knew that the depreciation for the end of the first partial year was 10,800. So what we did was we took the 7,200 and we subtracted it from the first year depreciation, and that is how we get the $61,200. Now we can use that to calculate the depreciation for year after year. So the question is asking two parts. What is the first year partial depreciation, which was 10,800, and what was the first full year depreciation? That was the $12,240. So again, we had to find out the first depreciation for the first partial year before we could get the proper cost for the second. All right, last one we're doing is finding partial year depreciation with the sum of the year digits. So, for letter A, we have an item that is an air conditioner compressor. It's at $3,800, brand new. It has a salvage value of $600, and the total amount is going to depreciate. We take the cost minus salvage. It'd be $3,200. Now we're going to put together, this is not a depreciation schedule, but this is an easier visual instead of trying to do the entire thing on paper. So, what do we know about this whole thing? Well, we know that it's going to completely depreciate $3,200 from the beginning to the end of its life. So we're going to use the same amount for this entire thing. And then we're going to use time. Now, as we discussed in lesson 16.3, we talked about finding the fraction for the sum of year digits. So we're going to use those fractions that we were able to calculate before here. The life on this one is out of so many years, out of 5 years. Out of 4 years, I'm sorry, out of 4 years. So we're going to go 4 over 10, because out of 4 years, and again, we covered how to find this fraction in lesson 16.3. The next one will be 3 out of 10. After that, we get 2 out of 10, 1 out of 10, and that is the time that we need for that. Now, this compressor was purchased in July, so the middle of the year. So before we even do that, let's go ahead and find out what is the depreciation for this entire 12 months. So if we went cost times time, we'd get this amount. And let's just duplicate this formula all the way down. All right, so now this compressor was purchased in July. That means it gives us 6 months left of the year. So we got to find the depreciation for the remaining 6 months. And then for the following year, we got to take that 6-month depreciation plus the New Year's depreciation. So let's see what that looks like. So we already know that it's 6 months. Half of the year we had to find depreciation. And we're going to use this for the first 4 years here. And we'll explain what the 5th year here is in a little bit. So depreciation for the 6 months, we're going to go equals. We're going to take our total for 1280 times 0.5. It would be at 640. So total depreciation for the 6th year was 640. Okay? So if you were to imagine a timeline in your head, it was purchased in July. That means we have 6 months left. That means if this was purchased in January, it would depreciate $1,280. But since it was purchased in July, that means we have to calculate how many months of depreciation just from this. We calculated it's only 6 months left in the year, so that's why we're dividing this amount in half, and that is why this amount is 640. All right, so now we have that one. Now, for the next year, if we were to do it for year 2, we'd be at 960. And we're going to take 960 times half a year. We'd be at 480. And what we're doing for this is we're adding up the depreciation from the previous year plus the 480, and we'd be at 1,120. Okay? Again, we're doing this based on 6 months from the previous year with the current year, and we're adding them together. So the 640 was from the previous year. That that last 6 months, and then we're taking, or that first 6 months, now we're taking that last 6 months plus the first 6 months of the depreciation for the following year. Let's do the next one. 640 times 5.5 would be 320. So we're going to add 480 plus a 320, and it would be $800. So this is the amount it's depreciating from that first 6 months plus this next 6 months for the following year. Last one, 320 times partial year, we'd be at 160. Yeah. And then for this one, we're taking 320 plus 160. And then for the last year, it would just be 160 plus this amount. So for the first, if we're to draw a timeline here, this 640 would be for the first the last 6 months of the year. So July, August, all the way down. So that would be our 640 for this. Now for the next year, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the first part of the year, and that would also be 640. So this would be year 1, this would be year 2. But now we're going to add the depreciation for the next 6 months, which would end up being 480. So you just keep adding on from the previous year until you find this. So the first 6 months is 640. The last 6 months would have been 160 for this. So this is finding the partial year depreciation with the sum of the year digits. So what did we do in this second part of the video? We found partial year using straight line, partial year using double declining, and then we find partial year depreciation with the sum of the year of the digits.